What's going on? This is the man of the hour, Leo Rush, and you are now listening to Matt Madness Podcast.
All right, everybody. So it's time to join the Nova World Order. I'd like to welcome in my guest tonight, one of the hottest independent wrestlers on the scene right now, Miss Amber Nova. Amber, how you doing?
Thanks for that introduction. I'm doing well. Let's start our daily drive with Nova.
All right. Now, quick question. You're in Florida, so have you guys quarantine been lifted?
No. Well, yes and no. We
Okay.
have restrictions. So I'm here in Orlando, and we have restrictions. So we had a curfew till 11 o'clock at night. Not to be out after that. Retail stores and restaurants just opened on Monday at a 25% capacity with 6 feet spacing. Honestly, the quarantine here in Florida has not been so bad. The beaches just reopened, which is really nice. They're letting people go to the beach with only, I think it's a limit of 6 groups of 6 people or less. So they have restrictions, but luckily, we have sun, shine most days.
All right. So how did you hold up during this whole thing? Because obviously you can't wrestle. Did your workouts change? Did your modeling pick up at the time, or what did you do to keep yourself busy? Netflix.
Honestly, quarantine hasn't been too awful. I've been healthy. That's the most important thing. My family, my friends, my close loved ones, they're all healthy. So that's what's most important to me. My brother-in-law back home, he's a fireman EMT, and he's been struggling with all this. So luckily he's safe, and so are his kids. So that's the main thing. And then, workouts. I've been working out at home. I got my own little weights here and there. It's not the same as gym equipment, but you can get excellent exercise just using your own body weight for a lot of things. So my workouts are still good.
Okay.
I think I'm doing all right.
Yeah, you're doing a lot better than me because I miss my gym so bad.
Yeah. What gym do you go to?
I go to Edge Fitness Center. That's the one I go to, and they've been closed since almost maybe the second week of March. We've been closed down. I'm an essential worker, so I still go to work all the time. So nothing really has changed for me personally, except for going to the gym and getting a haircut. Because Amber, believe me, if you saw me last week, you might have turned the video off. I looked horrible.
I go to LA Fitness. They've been closed for a couple months now, and actually in Florida, I believe this coming Monday, tomorrow, hair salons are going to be opening back up, but they'll probably have the same 25% capacity, only a few people allowed in at a time, and they have to, all the PPE equipment, masks, gloves, gowns, things like that, they'll have to do, but they're slowly opening things up in Florida, but very slowly. Otherwise, I've been doing well. Workouts stay the same. Modeling, your question to that, has honestly not picked up. It's gotten more so slowed down because all my modeling shoots I had planned, a few were at beach locations or with my 73 Chevy Nova I had a photo shoot with, and I had to postpone all that because the beaches weren't open. You weren't allowed to really be out just doing whatever you feel like doing. That's, some things have slowed down, but I'm healthy, I'm well, I'm staying busy where I can, so.
All right, I'm glad to hear that. So the first question I'm going to start you off with is, what made you fall in love with pro wrestling?
The same thing that made me fall in love with classic cars. I'm a daddy's girl, daughter of a mechanic, and my dad raised me on classic American muscle cars, hence why I'm the Nova girl. And he raised me on pro wrestling. I would watch it all the time with him growing up as a kid. He would take me, my sisters, my brother to events down at the Civic Center in Savannah, Georgia. And I fell in love with it. And I didn't actually get into it physically myself until almost 4 years ago.
Yeah. Who were some of your dad's favorites, by the way?
Oh, man. Ultimate Warrior, Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant, a lot of old school guys. I loved WCW, and I think he did too. Dad's favorites, as are mine, is Goldberg, Sting, Booker T, all those guys. So
yeah, Booker T definitely one of my favorites. Now, you said you got into it. You said 5 years ago?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, actually, five years ago this May, I moved to Orlando with just a Nova and a dream, and now I've been doing matches and wrestling about 4.5 years.
Okay, so when you started getting into wrestling, the scene in the women's wrestling was starting to change a lot. So
evolution.
Yes.
And honestly, just from what I've seen in the last 4 years, 5 years alone, it has changed drastically compared to when I was looking into doing it myself. Like
Yes.
there's so many more women, there's so many more opportunities, which is a good thing, but it's also even harder at times to make it because there are so many women in so many promotions compared to maybe when there wasn't so many. There's only a few women, so they got those spots. Now it's like it's harder to fight for those spots, or I mean, it's good. It's a good and a bad thing. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah. It's changed.
So there's no more bra and panties matches, no more bikini matches, and now we're moving to where I feel that the women steal the show. For example, my favorite wrestler other than you right now is Sasha Banks. And so they're known for stealing the show. They had their own pay-per-view, even main event and pay-per-views, main event of WrestleMania at that. And there's even a women's world champion in Impact Wrestling. So how did that motivate you when you first started, and how does it motivate you now?
Well, thank you for saying I'm one of your favorites. And Sasha, she's one of my favorites as well. I admire that woman, her body, everything she does. And because we're very similar in size, I really do admire the work she does. And I like to incorporate a lot of lucha style. You know, Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio, they're my favorites. So thank you for that. And yeah, just, man, seeing the women's evolution, it's no more bras and panties matches, like you said. We're main eventing. We are headlining. The man is the man, Becky Lynch. You know, like it's amazing that we are now given the opportunity to show our skills as competitors in the ring, just like men.
Yeah. So in my research, I saw you were a former EMT. So how long is that process it takes to become an EMT with all the certifications? How long does all that take?
It takes quite a while. You know, you can do about, I don't know, let's say 9 months of schooling or so. Then you have a few months of tests that you have to go through. Let's say a solid year.
Okay.
At least to pass all the tests and go through all the different things you have to go through to get your certifications. I was an EMT back home in Beaufort, South Carolina for a few years before I moved and started pursuing professional wrestling. And that's why I just want to give like a huge shout out to all the healthcare workers. I got friends, I got family, I got former coworkers, firefighters back home, everyone on the front line doing what they're doing. And I just want to say thank you, because I know firsthand what that must be like, what they're going through right now. It's a pandemic, the first ever in our lifetime that we've had to go through. So yeah, thank you to all the healthcare workers.
Yeah, and with that being a career type job and you being daddy's little girl, how did it go breaking into your parents that you wanted to leave that and pursue wrestling? Because all parents, they want their children to be stable and have a career, and going to something that's not, it's kind of an uncertainty. How did they take that?
How did Dad take it? Well, I remember Dad having a huge smile and grin on his face, telling me, "You better go do it now. You're only getting older." And Mom was like, "No, why would you want to do that? You could get hurt." So I actually took my parents with me. It was September of 2014, down to Orlando to the Team Vision Dojo. We watched an I Believe in Wrestling event. The three of us drove down to Orlando. And I was like, all right, this is what I want to do. I want to move here, get in a ring with a bunch of sweaty men and women, and have them teach me how to wrestle. And hey, look, if it doesn't work out, I go back home and I continue being an EMT. I live happily ever after, right? And yeah, my mom was just like, why do you want to do this? Dad was just like, the whole time, like I have a picture that I took, like I just took a picture of the two of them sitting next to me, and Dad's got this grin-eating smile on his face watching the wrestling match, and Mom's just like, why am I here? No, Mom has been really supportive, and it is Mother's Day, so happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there and my mom. She is wonderful. I love my Mama Bear, and she has been a huge support. She's supported me 100%. All of my family have. They all have just believed in me and believed in myself, and I've gotten this far.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that, because that's always, like I said, like, you want to do that? You know, there was two things I wanted to do growing up as a kid. I went through, I want to be a wrestler phase, and to this day, I still want to be a Power Ranger, but that's a whole story for another day.
I'll tell you what, I consider myself the Orange Power Ranger. There really isn't really an Orange Power Ranger, and Halloween, like last year, the year before that, I made my own pink Power Ranger.
I saw that. I popped huge for that, by the way.
I have a few photos out there of it.
Yeah, I popped huge for that. Like, I always appreciate a good Power Rangers outfit. So when you moved to Florida, what were your experiences like before you started training? How did it go? For example, like relocating from South Carolina to Florida, about finding an apartment, even a job at the time.
Yeah, so I moved to Orlando, like I said, with a Nova and a Dream. My first Nova, the one I have now, is my second one, both
Okay.
the year 73. And it was difficult because I couldn't be an EMT in Orlando and do 24, 36, 48-hour shifts and then go wrestle and then pursue all this other stuff that comes along with wrestling training, events, shows you have to make, things like that. So I decided to leave my EMT career behind. Another issue would be like transferring my state licenses, my national registry, all that to another state. It was very complicated. And I knew I couldn't, like I said, I couldn't work 24-hour shifts and train at the same time and make shows and events. So I got my bartending certification, and I'm a certified bartender now as well. And I was bartending in downtown Disney Springs. I was doing that for a good while, and then modeling and wrestling's picked up to where I haven't bartended in well over close to 2 years. So I've been doing really well. It was my mom's idea for me to be a bartender, and I tell you what, I make the most bitchin' mojitos and old
Really?
Yes, I do.
Really, whenever me and my girlfriend come to Orlando, I'll make sure I'll hit you. Are you bartending anytime soon or anywhere? We'll try that.
If I bartend again at some events, I'll let you know.
Yeah, I would definitely interested in tasting that. So when you started training, was there anybody that helped you along? Like, how was the training process a struggle for you at first? Like, did you have times of like, oh my God, what the hell am I doing here? Or God, I made the wrong decision. Do you have any moments like that?
I mean, there's times, of course, where everyone doubts themselves and you have that pressure. And there were definitely times where it was difficult. The pain I would feel, I wasn't used to that. You know, I was used to protecting my body, and, you know, I was an EMT. I helped other people. So here I am practically almost breaking my neck in a ring, and I was just stiff and sore, and I had days I couldn't even turn my neck. And my body was not used to this kind of pain I was putting it through. And it's definitely a huge adjustment. So, you know, not everyone can do this. You have to be physically and mentally capable, and you put yourself through a lot, both, like I said, physically and mentally. And yeah, there were times where I doubted myself, and I was like, man, I don't know. But I never felt like in the last 5 years that I've ever felt like, okay, I need to just move back home. I never felt that much unsure of myself to be like, okay, this is never going to work, or I'm not you know, I had doubts, but I pushed through those doubts. I never just completely gave up and was like, all right, I'm moving back home. I never had that serious of a thought, because I knew, like, even though the pain, there was progress. There was always progress in the pain. And obviously it's come to show, because, like, you know, I've wrestled for NXT a couple times, Impact Wrestling. I just wrestled in 3 different countries last year, in London, Panama, South Africa, which I was actually going to be wrestling in Panama and South Africa again these past few months. And unfortunately, that's all been canceled. And until the world is safe, don't know when I'll be back out there. So
yeah, that's one thing I admire a lot. We all have those moments of self-doubt, but I always say, don't make permanent decisions on temporary emotions, and you definitely didn't. And that's something I always admire, because you could just do whatever you want if you're in a certain mindset at that moment, but to give yourself a break, relax, and just work through it. And has there anybody that helped you out more than others in as far as your training?
The Team Vision Dojo. Honestly, I joined their school, and I'm talking Scott Hall was a mentor of mine. He's been such a good friend. Larry Zabisco, Ivelisse Velez, so many amazing trainers at the Team Vision Dojo that have helped me. And Hector Guerrero, I mean, it's amazing. The talent they have that come in that door and that are just, they say such wonderful things. So yeah, I believe in wrestling events that I got my experience at. It's honestly been the best place for me, and I haven't really had to go anywhere else.
What's been some of the best advice you've got during your training and throughout your time wrestling?
To be myself, and that's who I am. You know, I am the classic car driving Nova World Order, you know, just badass little pro wrestler. And that's how I am, Nova Girl. Back home, I used to drive around in my 73 Chevy Nova, and people would see me at the gas station and be like, oh, you're the Nova Girl. You're the girl who drives the Nova. And I'm like, that's right, I'm Amber Nova. And you know, I want to say a lot of the best advice I've ever received in life comes from Dad. You know, I wasn't handed a platform. I'm not a second or third generation wrestler. I am the daughter of a mechanic, and my dad handed me a wrench, and he said, do it yourself. And if you want something done, you got to do it yourself. And honestly, that's where my motivation comes from, is him.
Yeah, so obviously that's where your character comes from. That was my next question. The character of Amber Nova, where'd that come from? How excited is Dad that that's kind of like your character? It's like, okay, I did that.
Dad's really proud. Dad's very proud. He's very stoked of all the things I've done. I've got this Eckler's Automotive. It's a classic car parts company out in Titusville here in Florida. They sponsored me. They even sponsored my own classic car show, pro wrestling show that we did at Ace Cafe. They helped sponsor it. We did a photo shoot with me, Dad, in the car, and just moments like that. Dad's real proud. I'm one of 5 kids. My other 3 sisters and brother, they watched wrestling a little, and they went to some events, but they weren't really into it the way I obviously am. And Dad's really proud of me, and it's really cool. So I just hope to continue to make him even more proud.
Have you ever got a chance to? Well, this is kind of a nerd question, but I've seen the picture of the wrench, so I gotta ask: has that ever been a part of a finish?
Actually, I've known to pull out a few tools in my box to win. So, hey, if you gotta pull out, a few wrenches, your tools in your box, whatever you want to call it, yeah, I've done what I have to do to make the win.
so how does the whole car, you being a classic car girl and your wrestling, has that kind of like opened more doors for you? Like, for example, your modeling and your wrestling, has that gone hand in hand at any point?
Absolutely. I have other ambitions outside of wrestling. I really want to be a part of an auto parts commercial with my car. I want to, because you see all these like classic car or auto parts commercial with Advanced Auto Parts, which those are my guys. They always hook me up. But a lot of these commercials, you'll see a guy in the commercial. You don't see a female too often. Mm-hmm. So I would love to have my 73 Chevy Nova in an Advanced Auto Parts commercial and say, look, this Nova right here, this was built from parts, from Advanced Auto Parts, myself, my dad. I change my own oil. I do these things. So, I have other ambitions like that, and other doors have been opening for me. Fitness supplement companies. I'm a brand ambassador for Nutrex Research and other clothing lines. So yeah, doors are opening, and I'm so grateful. Like, this is, I thought to myself 5 years ago, maybe about 6-7 years ago, I was like, I could never do something like that, right? Like, things like this don't work for people like me, just being a small girl, EMT back home, small town. And then I just kind of threw that idea out the window eventually. I was like, who says it can't happen for people like me, And that's when you stop doubting and you just start doing.
Yeah, definitely. So you just talked about how you wrestled all over the world. What's been your... I've even seen you on news channels promoting wrestling. So true. What's been your favorite place to perform at that you traveled to?
So favorite place that I've performed at. Obviously, the major platforms that have inspired me since I was a kid: WWE, NXT, mm-hmm. Impact Wrestling. London was amazing. South Africa was incredible. My recent one, the last place I went to before the pandemic started, was December. I went to Panama, and just the hospitality, the crowd. I got my first ever "Thank You, Amber" chant standing in the ring.
How was that?
In their arena in Panama, I just was like blown away, like I'm doing something right. And this feels damn good, Mm-hmm. And to make them happy, it just made me so happy. And I have to say, Panama's at the top of the list. I can't wait to go back to South Africa. That was incredible. I got to wrestle in Johannesburg and Cape Town. I've always been inspired with just the African culture. And I'm supposed to be going back there soon as well in June, but looks like things are still kind of canceled and not starting right back up right away. Panama, I was supposed to go there back in April this month. That's had to be pushed back further and further with this pandemic. But those are some of my favorite places. Just amazing. Just that rush, they talk about that rush and that feeling you get. Mm-hmm. And it's all about that passion and that feeling you get. And that's why we like doing what we do, right?
So what's the wrestling scene out in Panama and South Africa? Clearly, I've never been. So what, is it like the same out here, or are they even more rabid out there?
No. So Johannesburg and Cape Town are two major cities in South Africa that I got to wrestle in. But the wrestling scene is, they don't have any women.
Okay.
They didn't have any women in South Africa really to wrestle. It was all guys. I was supposed to wrestle Kelly Klein in South Africa, and she unfortunately had to cancel. And I ended up wrestling two of their green guys, two of the newer dudes. So two different guys in each town, and that was a lot of fun. I was one of the guys' first intergender match. And so, you'd never wrestled a female before. So that was an experience. Just the scenes, it's nothing like it is obviously here in the US. We have the biggest companies, WWE, all of it. And in these other countries, they look up to us. Yeah, they don't have the opportunity that we have. Panama, a very small country, and they don't have as much opportunity, but the promotion GWE, which you guys can go to their Instagram and check that out. It's tagged on my profile, a few things. They've done so well with their arena and what they do have. It's very impressive. It's obviously they don't have the opportunity that we have, but just to see that there are people out there in the world that want to do this, that do care in the other parts of the world, it's amazing.
You've also talked about how you made stops at Impact and NXT. How were those experiences for you?
Oh, man. Amazing. My first TV match was for Impact Wrestling, and I wrestled Allie. And a woman I've looked up to since I was a kid, Gail Kim, she helped agent my match and take care of us. It was amazing. And I've been so grateful that, they even said really nice things about me and said, obviously, we keep bringing back Amber Nova because, she can hang in the ring with these top women. And I was pretty new then. So that was amazing for me. And then as well, my first match with WWE's NXT brand was Nikki Cross. And that was August of 2018. And I'll tell you what, Nikki's one crazy bat. But,
she's one of my favorites. She's definitely one of my favorites to watch.
That was the best for me. I feel like that was really great for me for my first match there. I did put up a decent fight for her, being so new compared to her experience level. And they brought me back again. Last January, I had a tag team match with two of the top women from Japan, Io Shirai and Kairi Sane. And my tag partner, Rebel, Tanea Brooks, you might have seen her on AEW recently. So that was pretty amazing. And just the platform they have there, the resources they have, that's why they're superstars. They know what they're doing. You got Triple H and Shawn Michaels. You got all these amazing people there. And, of course, Stephanie McMahon, who that woman, God bless her, she's an idol. She is.
Did you have any interaction with Stephanie?
I have a few times, and it's been amazing. It's been great.
Really? Okay, so when they call you back for NXT, how does that work? So after the match, do they tell you, like, hey, you did a great job, we'll be in contact, we'd love to have you back? How does that actually work?
Yeah, it's just like any other job. I'm paid per appearance. I'm not contracted full time yet. Hello. So yeah, they let you know when if they need people for certain things, they'll reach out, or you can always reach out, and just depends on what they need. And right now it's, very limited. Positive thing, WWE was deemed essential here in Orlando, so they're able to do their TV tapings in front of no audience, which has been going really well. I think they've been doing an excellent job.
Yeah, I do too.
I'm looking forward to Money in the Bank tonight. My money is on Lindsay Dorado, one of my former trainers from the Team Vision Dojo. So I know he'll kick ass. Yeah, so
Triple H also announced that there's a Mae Young Classic in the future. How excited are you to possibly throw your hat in there?
I'm stoked, and I'm telling you, like he said, there's so much talent out there, right? Triple H says there's so much talent out there. Well, she's right here down the road. They've seen me once or twice, but that was a couple of years ago, and I've gotten even better since then, and I'd love to prove it to them. So, yeah, I'm different. My character, my personality, it's original. I feel like I've worked really hard to be original, and I just want to have a platform to showcase that on again. So, the Mae Young Classic, my name, I'm going to try my hardest to get my name in there, and we'll see what happens. Unfortunately, with the pandemic going on in the world, things could be changed. So,
yeah, I want to go backtrack real quick about the the no crowds wrestling. How do you think that affects them, being a wrestler and all?
I feel like it's definitely difficult Because, without that energy there behind you and screaming, yelling, passionate fans, like, without the fans, there wouldn't be this in the first place. So, yeah, it's difficult, but I don't find it any too much less motivating because behind that camera lens are millions and thousands of people watching at home that are cheering for you, that are gunning for you, that you have people to make proud. So I think they're doing an excellent job with what they are doing.
Yeah, I do too. I think some of the matches, I think they went underrated because they needed the crowd, especially at WrestleMania. I thought WrestleMania definitely overachieved for me personally. Like, for example, the Charlotte Flair Rhea Ripley match, I thought that was a great match. I just thought it was missing the audience, and as you know, the $1,000 entrances that they do, like, that match deserved a big stage, and that's one of them. So my last question before I can get you out of here, because I'm sure you have a lot to do today. Who are some women that you love to get in the ring with?
Oh, man. The list goes on and on. I don't know, like Lita, Trish Stratus, Victoria, these women I watched growing up. I look up to Luna Vachon and her style, which I've helped incorporate into mine a bit. Medusa. There's just so many really great women out there. Sasha, Charlotte, Bianca Belair could probably toss me around, but I do some fun things with her, I think.
Yes, definitely.
I really like, I wrestled Zelina Vega, Thea Trinidad before, and I saw her match with Bianca, and I was like, okay, I'm pretty similar in size to like Thea, Sasha Banks, so I could see all the really fun things I could probably do with her, and also all the really painful things she could probably do to me. So yeah, Bianca's up there. There's some really great women right now. They're just all inspiring. I'd love to get in the ring again with Taya Valkyrie. Unfortunately, I did have plans to wrestle Tessa Blanchard this month out in Texas, for Cactus League Wrestling, and that all was unfortunately canceled as well. So I'm really looking forward to getting in the ring with Tessa. She's a top woman right now, and the list just goes on and on. But unfortunately, just have to see where the world goes now with everything.
All right, Amber, I want to thank you once again for your time. And where can everybody find you?
Yeah, if you're not familiar with me, go to YouTube. You can watch some of my matches, Amber Nova. Follow me on Instagram, Amber Nova 73, because I drive a 73 Chevy Nova. Same for Twitter, Amber Nova 73.
All right, everybody. All that's going to be in the link in the description. So, Amber, once again, I want to thank you for your time and tell Mama Nova to have a happy Mother's Day and Daddy Nova early Father's Day next month.
Thank you so much. It's so sweet. Yours the same.
All right, thank you. All right, you have a great day.
You too. Take care.